I go, here I go. Yeah, here I go, here I go.
Welcome in, everyone, to yet another episode of The Take with your host, Jackson Burlison, of course. And in this episode, dude, we have so much stuff to get into, specifically about this, college to the NFL nonsense or whatever, the NFL back to college, whatever is going on over there in college football specifically and college sports as a whole. We're going to dive into that and some more NFL news like preseason coming up on the last week here. We got some quarterbacks that were announced as starters. We have all that and more in this episode. Make sure to go follow us on all of our social medias below, TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, things like that. And also make sure to go check us out on Spotify. The Spotify version will be in the link in the description. I'll put the link in the description, for that. And make sure to also just hit the subscribe button, man. Comment your thoughts down below on the video, notification bell so you get alerts and things like that when I post. Trying to post a video every day, so keep an eye out on those shorts as well. And then podcasts we're doing weekly right now until kind of NFL season ramps into full swing. So let's go ahead and get into this because we have a ton to dive into. And we just got some new information off the top of the show here to kind of start this off. I want to pop this little graphic up that Pete Thamel just got some news that the Big Ten is set to pass a rule today that doesn't allow players to return from the NFL and play for a Big Ten school. Anyone who has declared for the NFL draft and did not withdraw, appeared on an NFL roster, or signed a contract with a pro league cannot be on a Big Ten roster. Now, as you guys already know, if you guys haven't already, NFL players can now return to college after signing pro contracts due to these recent court rulings that we've been seeing. So let me just explain it to you so you guys can understand what happened. Louisiana judge granted 16 football players a temporary fifth year. Some have signed NFL contracts, played preseason games. Players can enter the transfer portal for 1 week that started on the 19th and actually ends on the 26th. NFL rosters, they cut August 30th. Players must terminate pro contracts before playing college games and may have to return earnings. The key players that are doing this are Daquan Wright, who went from the Browns to LSU, Xavier Harris, who went from the Saints to LSU, TJ Harden, who went to the Seahawks to the portal, Jack Pyburn, a Buccaneers guy who actually had 2 preseason sacks in their first preseason game against the Jets. Now, if he doesn't make the roster, he could potentially come back. If he doesn't enter the portal or commit by the 26th, I think these guys are not allowed to go back. So they don't have that much longer in terms of time to be able to get back into college football. Those are just a couple names to kind of mention here. LSU, Lane Kiffin, they've been actively recruiting these players. Kiffin said, because of the court rulings, players are going to play for you or somebody else. We'll get a soundbite here in a second from Lane Kiffin kind of talking about it. He did say it's unfair to criticize players because they were told they had exhausted eligibility, and LSU already landed Wright, Harris, and this other guy I can't pronounce, Jr. from Notre Dame. I'm not going to try to butcher this name. I can't pronounce it. But the SEC, they responded yesterday saying players who sign professional contracts should not be allowed back into college. Here's what we're going to see happen here with this. Look at the Brendan Sorsby case a couple of months ago, right? He got this temporary injunction to play even after all the gambling violations he had. Now, I know this is not gambling violations, but it's very similar in the way it's going to play out, in my opinion. So, basically, Texas Tech, they were going to field Brendan Sorsby. Then when they decided they were going to field him, the Big 12 said, yeah, we're not going to play him. We just won't play you guys if he's on the team. That's what you're seeing happen right now. If anybody, in terms of roster, if anybody has a former NFL player on their team, it looks like these conferences are going in the direction of, hey, we're shutting that down. We're not going to allow that player. And then if you do have that player, there's going to be an ability for teams to boycott and not have to play LSU. That could be a big, massive deal, especially with the college football season literally starting this week, technically. So this is going to open up a lot of possibilities here, in my opinion. And I think the biggest thing to look at with this is why this is happening. Because the only reason this is happening is because the NCAA, they did the 5-and-5 rule, where it's like, okay, if you're in college now, you get 5 years to play instead of 4 years to play 5 years. That, again, in terms of just the way that the NCAA has been able to enforce things, they haven't been able to do anything. All these court rulings that are happening are literally, they're getting overridden because they don't have the right structure in place to be able to handle this situation, because their structure is not a professional league structure. It is an amateur league structure. Even if you want to call it that, it's an amateur athletic association structure. It's made for players who are not being paid by pros. That's why they're settling in all these lawsuits, and that's why they're losing all these lawsuits, because they've been getting around these federal laboring laws for so long. Now you're just seeing the floodgates open where everybody can kind of come back to college football as long as you fit under a certain criteria if you're in the 2022 recruiting class. I think there's going to be more lawsuits that are going to come in from this. Because if it's only 2022 and 2023 through 2026 classes aren't going to be getting the fifth year of eligibility, then they're going to, because all these preliminary injunctions are pretty easy to get approved from what I've been seeing. Doesn't seem that hard to get these done. I just don't know how you can even make college football anymore if it's a professionally ran league where these guys are getting money and you can go to the NFL now and actually sign with a team and then come back to college football. And you can see the conferences are not going to like this. I mean, they're hating it right now. I mean, I hate this. Like, I hate the fact that we've gotten to this point with college sports, because if the NCAA just would have taken care of business when these things were a big deal like 20 years ago, like you can go back to the whole Reggie Bush thing, they're making money off of his name, image, and likeness, and then there are a bunch of lawsuits came out, blah, 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 blah. This thing has been running deep, and the only thing that NCAA is at least holding on to at the current moment seems to be March Madness, and it seems like they're going to lose that soon too. And it seems like they're going to lose the conference's interest because the conferences are already going against all the rules. They're going to enforce something. That's what we're going to see happen here. There's going to be teams that are not going to want to play LSU because they field one or even two NFL players, former NFL players. However much that is, regardless of what that is, this is what's going to happen here. And it's not going to be pretty, in my opinion, especially if all these other schools are going to get it. There are some schools that are like, yeah, our roster space is too much. Like, we can't fill this right now. This is the problem, is that this happened about a week before the college football season. This is literally the week of week 0. And we are sitting here talking about former NFL players literally coming in and playing for a college team. You're taking a roster spot away. Somebody who was in spring, winter ball, all of fall camp, somebody's leaving. You have to make this space. That's what I don't understand, like, why these coaches are even doing it. Or like a guy like Lane Kiffin, like, why are you giving into this? You don't have to let him play. Let him go somewhere else. But the only guy I think would do this is Lane Kiffin. He's trying to get an advantage. People are mad at Lane Kiffin because he's doing this. I'm not mad at Lane Kiffin for doing this. Signing a player, he's just trying to win. If you were a coach and you said, hey, what is the best chance for me to win? And you're not going to go do that, it doesn't seem like you're at least attempting to do your job. I mean, LSU is a place that they need to win, and they have to win this year. And in my opinion, this is just a mess. This is the mother of all messes that we're looking at right now. Because when I saw the SEC and now the Big Ten is coming out and saying something about it, those are the two big dog conferences that really no one really cares about any other conference but those two conferences. They've both came out and said something. The only thing I'm waiting on is the NFL. All these conferences need to do is when these contracts are signed, or even NFL contracts, when these contracts are signed, they have to have some kind of agreement in there where it's like, okay, if you sign an NFL contract, you are no longer allowed to go back to college and play. Same with college. Like it's just, you should not be allowed to go back from pro to college. This is not how it goes. And we've seen it in basketball. We've seen it in football. This is not a good direction for college sports. It's going to hurt college sports. Because what do you do about all these high school recruits now? They suffer the most because you got former NFL players taking up roster spots, and then when these guys do go back to college and they weren't drafted, how does that work? Do they just get picked up as a free agent, or do they go back into the draft? I mean, that's what I don't understand about all of this. I can't even believe we're even talking about this, on how this is even this big of a topic. But Lane Kiffin, he kind of defended a little bit about recruiting these players and things like that. So I want to hear from him real quick, and then we'll kind of give you my thoughts, and we'll dive into some more topics as well.
This particular situation, do you think it's because of the class of 22 rule, or do you think this is going to continue in the future, or is it unable to know in this constantly changing landscape?
As far as starting with the NFL part? No, I don't. I think this is a totally unique circumstance that came about because of the 5-for-5 and the players feeling like they should have known about it before and that they should have had it. And then all the cases around the country and all the attention on that and they were granted this. The ones that have won restraining orders or injunctions have been granted this. So I think this is extremely unique situation that, I mean, I can't predict the future, but that I don't think you'd have this.
Okay, so from what I'm seeing, it says no high school classes of 2023 through 26 do not automatically receive a blanket fifth year of competition under the NCAA's new 5-for-5 age-based model. Effective date for this. The official 5-for-5 rule applies for prospects initially enrolling full-time in college in fall 2027 or later. For students first enrolling in fall 2026 and current student athletes with eligibility remaining after the 2025-26 academic year, Division I schools apply whichever is most favorable. The previous rules, 4 seasons of competition within a 5-year clock, or the new age-based model. This means you do not get an automatic guaranteed extra fifth year simply by being in these classes, unless permitted by specific previous exceptions, redshirts, or ongoing legal challenges or waivers. The 5-for-5 mechanics. Under the new framework, starting fully in 2027, athletes get 5 years to play 5 seasons. Okay, so it starts in 2027, but here's the thing. Okay, so I kind of am right about this. There really doesn't seem to be much rules about this. But it says if you can get a waiver or whatever, that's the key to watch out for here. 2023 to 2026, you're going to see injunctions for a fifth year of eligibility. You're going to see them. It's going to happen. Because you can't just unless they're red shirt or whatever, and they have the fifth year. But how can you decide, which one? Pick which rule. Why are we allowed, if you make a rule, you shouldn't be able to pick an old one. Like, what is this? I mean, this is ridiculous. I don't get it. I don't understand it. It's ridiculous. Please, guys, let me know in the comments what you guys think about this NFL back to college stuff. Because if Lane Kiffin said earlier that this is not going to happen again, but I do think it probably could happen again. But it may not happen again. It's not because of what he said. It's not going to happen again because the conferences are not going to allow it. That's why it's not going to happen. It's not going to happen because of what Lane Kiffin said. Oh, it's only for this 1 year. You're going to see guys after this do injunctions and all this other stuff. I'm telling you, it's only not happening because these players, these conferences are not allowing these players to play in their conferences. The minute that starts, and we're already seeing it, SEC, Big Ten said we do not allow NFL-signed players to come back and play. That's a very simple rule. These injunctions are not going to matter because these conferences are not going to allow them to play. These conferences have all the power in the world now to do whatever they want. They have whatever they want. It's like they open the floodgates for everybody to do this. I mean, it's genuinely the most unprecedented thing in sports. We have never, ever seen this in sports ever. We're never going to see this. Is literally a once in a lifetime event right here. Because what the NCAA is going to have to do at some point is they're going to have to figure out how to make a new organization, and they're going to have to figure out how to get some kind of power back, because they just don't. They just don't. You're allowing all these local judges to influence things, which all these local judges, the LSU stuff, like those are Louisiana judges, local judges that probably are trying to benefit the program in Baton Rouge. This is a real thing. This is what happened in the Sorsby case. A judge in Lubbock granted the injunction. Why? Because it benefits their local institution. It makes them money. That's what it does. I'm very curious to see what these NIL valuations are for these players when they do get back into the NFL or from the NFL to college. I mean, for crying out loud, you've got college scouts going to scout the pros in the preseason. This is just, we've never seen this kind of territory at all. We haven't. It's a big, massive deal, and I don't know what they're going to do about this, because this has to get fixed. If it's fixable, that's the thing. I don't know if it is. It's a broken system with people taking advantage of it or not. That's what it is. As long as the product on the field is good, will everybody be happy? I hope so. But if the product on the field is full of NFL players and you got teams saying it's unfair or whatever, that's when you're going to see an issue. I can't believe, I just want to focus on the college football season. I just want to focus on that, the games, not this, because this outside mess and all this outside noise, it's just distractions from the product. This has been the craziest college offseason of all time. It's not close. It's not close. Let me know what you guys think in the comments about this college, NFL, whatever the frick you want to call it thing. It's ridiculous. It's the stupidest thing I've ever seen. I mean, it literally makes no sense why this is happening. I mean, legally, these athletes, you can't be mad at them. They're not doing anything wrong here. They're just taking advantage of a terrible system. That's what they're doing. This is not these athletes' fault. If you want to come out and say, oh, this player, screw that guy because he gets to play another year. No. Talk to the NCAA about this, because that's their doing. Or some of these judges that are approving this. This is not a player issue. This is a system issue. Players are benefiting from a broken system. Players are benefiting because of the damages the NCAA has had over the years. Now it's all coming to bite them back into the butt. That's all it is. That's all we are watching right now. We are literally watching one of the biggest collapses of all time from one individual organization. An organization that has just looped around the rules for years. An organization that has profited off of athletes. Now they're having to pay these players. When NIL came out, there was a reason why there was a payback. 2016. Where do they get all these dates? Like with 2016, it's like, oh, you choose 2016 to start for your payback, or you do 2022 recruiting class. Like, what about all these other people? Like, what about all these other sports? Like, I feel like nobody is thinking about all the components here. It's just college basketball, college football. That's it. That's all we care about. We don't care about how it affects anybody else. Because here's what's going to happen here. College football is going to leave the NCAA. These conferences for college football are going to leave the NCAA. It's going to happen. At some point, it could happen for college basketball, where the NCAA doesn't have power over March Madness, so there's going to be a new tournament that could be created. I'm telling you, This is just the tip of the iceberg of what we're going to be seeing with this, especially when you got conferences coming out already saying, nope, we're not having these players play. Then why didn't they do it before for the NBA players? There was a G Leaguer that literally went to the G League back to Alabama and then played. But the SEC didn't say nothing about that dude. Why are you not saying anything about that guy, but then you're saying something about football? It makes no sense. It has to all be the same. It can't just be different whenever it's convenient for you or whatever, or if it's not that big of a deal. Like, what about this RJ Lewis thing? He's allowed to go back to LSU. He's allowed to play basketball. He got another year. Like, are you gonna, like, he declared for the draft. Did he not? Like, I don't, like, what are you doing? Like, I don't get it, dude. I could talk about this all day, honestly, you guys. I'm sorry for rambling a little bit. It's just a very unprecedented situation we find ourselves in the sports world in 2026. Make sure to subscribe, you guys. Hit the notification bell. Comment down below your thoughts on the video and things like that. What do you want to see next? And then let's go ahead and get into Deshaun Watson being named the Browns' starting quarterback. This is the worst decision that a team could possibly make. Deshaun Watson in the Bills preseason game looked awful. Got booed. Right when he stepped on the field, Shedeur clearly looked like the better player. And then it's like, oh no, we're going to go with Deshaun Watson. What? Excuse me? Like, dude, this guy has been terrible. How in the world can you even think about this? Like, this is not what you're supposed to do. This is not what you're supposed to do. You cannot, as an organization, start this man. I get it. You're paying him so much money that you have to, it feels like, but you shouldn't have to. I mean, Deshaun Watson has literally proven nothing. You've gave up 3 first-round picks to get him. You gave him a fully guaranteed $230 million deal. And he's only played 19 games for you. His last year of his contract is 2026, this season. So I guess what that is going to say is that, hey, after this year, he's gone. He's got to be, right? I mean, here's what's going to happen. Deshaun Watson is going to play, and then he's going to go ahead and get benched because he's going to be so bad. That's what's going to happen to Deshaun Watson. He's not going to play that well. I'm telling you right now. But the problem is Todd Monken making a decision. I mean, why would you even put this guy on the field? He hasn't done anything. He's literally been one of the worst quarterbacks I've ever watched. I mean, what did you see in that preseason that made you go, oh, yeah. Like, look at these preseason stats side by side for Shedeur and Deshaun Watson here. Deshaun Watson, 162 yards, 0 touchdowns, 2 turnovers. One of them was the worst fumble and a bad interception I've seen. 61 rating. Shedeur Sanders, the only thing he didn't have better is yards. He didn't throw for as many yards, and he didn't throw for as many passing attempts as Deshaun Watson. Better completion percentage. Yeah, he threw a touchdown. Better quarterback rating. I'm just saying. And then Watson's like, after the press conference, or after that game on Saturday against the Bills, he's like, oh, the Browns fans are so disrespectful. It's like, well, if you weren't so bad, they probably wouldn't be booing you. I mean, let's be real here. Like, you haven't played that much football, and then when you do play football, you're not really that good. This is Deshaun Watson. He did apologize and things like that. I don't really buy into that, but this is his reaction to being the starter.
This is what I've been working for 2 years, is to be able to show that, I'm capable of being a starter for one of the 32 organizations in this league. And, today was a assignment I had no idea until I walked into the building, and I talked with Coach Monk, and, it felt good, and a lot of excitement. But it comes with a lot of work, too. There's a lot of work. There's a lot of challenges that I have to continue to overcome, and I just got to continue to work on, achieving those victories each and every day. So I'm ready and prepared. And, there's going to be a lot of ups and downs, but at the same time, I'm excited to be, a starting quarterback in this league, and especially a starting quarterback for the Cleveland Browns.
Yeah, I bet you are excited. It's an opportunity. I bet I don't think many people saw it coming. I mean, I saw Dan Orlovsky say, if you're a Browns fan, don't go to the games. It's like, yeah, don't go to the games. Like, you guys are going to stink it up. Just wait till week 7. You know, Shedeur's going to come in here 1-5, win you a couple games. Season's going to be over. I just genuinely don't know why Cleveland continues to make poor decision after poor decision. This is an organization that is known for poor decision making. They don't make any good decisions. You drafted Dylan Gabriel in the 3rd round, was it? Last year? Dude's a 3rd-string quarterback on the verge of being cut from the roster. Shedeur gets drafted 5th round. He's a 2nd string. Could have started. It makes no sense what's going on in Cleveland. None. I mean, and you know what's crazy? They actually have some good pieces. They're just Cleveland. They just know how to mess it up. That's a problem with Cleveland. And then the last news segment, we got Michael Penix. He is cleared for 11-on-11 work. Tua had been the only quarterback really getting full team reps for the Falcons. But Michael Penix, he's returning from that left ACL surgery that he had. He tore it in college too. So he's just been absolutely just flooded with injuries. But, I mean, I've said this, like, whenever Penix gets fully healthy, he's going to be the starter for the Falcons. I mean, I haven't seen anything from Tua that makes me sit here and think, like, oh, Tua's going to be a starter again in this league. Like, I don't think so. I don't think Tua's that good anymore. Like, I think Penix is a better, younger, upcoming talent. That's why I think he's going to win the job when he does get fully healthy. I think he gives this team the best chance to win. I think he does. Was he good last year when he played? He was not good sometimes, and then sometimes he would make some throws where it's like, okay, maybe he's got a little bit something in the tank, but we haven't really seen anything from Tua that makes us believe, like, oh, yeah, he's definitely the starter for the Falcons. Like, he's definitely convinced me. Like, this is a wide-open quarterback battle as far as I'm concerned. I'm just looking at Michael Penix right now. You know, you're the 8th overall pick. You need to perform. You need to live up to what you were supposed to be as one of the best quarterbacks in that just glorified draft class there. I think that he's going to win the job, and I'm glad he's back. We'll see how he's kind of doing. I heard he threw a pick 6 in practice the other day. So he's trying to, pick 6s in practice, they happen, okay? I mean, I saw Baker Mayfield throw a pick 6 in practice. It happens. It's practice. I'm not going to sit here and just dwell on practice this much. It's okay. But I think Tua is just not that good. So I think Michael Penix, that's an easy decision for Kevin Stefanski and that staff to make, in my opinion. Let's go ahead and get into this week's play of the week. Yeah, so we got a very fun play this week. Jacob Cowing, 83-yard punt return. He went off for the 49ers that day. He fielded it, put the Niners up 17-3. Here's this week's play of the week.
Punt. He's had a couple of brilliant placements already. And again, the hang time showcased. Cowing from the 16. Trying to get to the edge and does. Gets a block. Now down the sideline. Keeps his footing across the 40. Cowing with one to beat, and he does. He's going to go. Jacob Cowing. House call. Touchdown Niners.
To the sideline. No flag on the play, but watch from the left side of the screen. That block right there should have been called illegal. And now J.K. Scott says, plays the Matador.
After the touchdown.
Okay, so basically just a little bit of context about Cowing. So he did miss last year with a hamstring injury. Now he's back fully healthy. Dude just ran across the field and then up the sideline. Nobody caught him. I mean, it was honestly a really, really good play for preseason. And then the 49ers go on to dominate. I mean, they were winning at one point 41-9, I think it was, or something like that. I mean, that was a pretty good preseason performance, in my opinion. There were some decent preseason games. I'm not going to say they were, the great, but we've been getting some good ones. I mean, the Raiders and Texans, which we will talk about right now, we got to saw Fernando Mendoza again play, but this time it was on ESPN where the lights are bright. Clint Kubiak still hasn't made a decision yet on who's going to be the starter, Kirk Cousins or Fernando Mendoza. Just put Fernando Mendoza out there. I mean, I think Mendoza is going to figure it out. I don't think Kirk Cousins is really going to win you anything, in my opinion, at least from what we've seen from Kirk Cousins in the past. Fernando Mendoza, I think, outside of that one pick six that he had, which, again, probably wasn't the greatest ball, he's been showing some pretty good accuracy. He's been willing to sit into the pocket and step in and make throws and get hit. He's a team guy for sure. I mean, he definitely wants his running backs to do well. But the thing about it for me is Fernando, if he's going to win this job, throwing pick sixes like that is not going to win you the job. Unfortunately, that's probably what's going to happen is Fernando's probably going to be quarterback 2. Kurt's probably going to get the QB1 nod. But the fact that Clint Kubiak still has it open is showing me that, hey, he's giving Fernando at least a chance to go after the QB1 spot, which I do like because you're keeping him in the competition. This competition should honestly still be going. It still should be going until the rest of the training camp. But same as freaking the Browns one. The Browns one should still be lasting just like this one. That quarterback battle should not be decided yet. This one, you could probably argue a little bit. But, I mean, Mendoza against the Texans, the pick six, he had 80 yards. He had a sack, pressured 6 times. He did have a pretty nice dropped pass from Malik Benson. He had a good ball there, but just the guy dropped it. Again, like Mendoza said, he needs to improve on his pocket movement. He admitted the pick six was a bad decision and throw, said the NFL margin for error is super small, which it is. Wants to improve stepping up side to side in the pocket. First NFL preseason start was viewed as a learning experience. But, the Raiders rested several starters. They're treating this, at least a joint practice, like a game. But, we saw Ashton Genty, he sprained his ankle. He could be out for week 1. So, depending on who starts at quarterback, Fernando Mendoza or Kirk Cousins, we could potentially see one of those guys without that, prized possession at running back. Kirk Cousins played 1 drive this preseason, but we haven't really seen him much other than that. Clint Kubiak, he's giving it a week. Let me know in the comments who you guys think should win the quarterback battle. But, is Mendoza doing enough to seriously challenge Kirk Cousins? My opinion, I don't think so. I don't think his numbers have been the greatest. He hasn't thrown for 100 yards yet. That pick six, again, that's one mistake that you're going to have to learn how to make. And when you're in the NFL, the ball is going to come out quicker and you got to be a lot more accurate. I'm not saying that Mendoza has not shown flashes of that. Has he? Absolutely. That when he was playing the Cardinals, he had one of the good throws, best throws of the preseason. I want to see more of those reps stack up those days. But again, I don't think Mendoza is going to start, but I'd like him to start. And then let's go ahead and get into some of these training camp brawls, man. The Cowboys and Saints, they had a pretty bad one last week. They got fined $500,000 each, which, to give you just a perspective on this, the Saints, for Bountygate, they got fined $500K as well. So, the NFL is taking this serious. And listen, I agree. I think they should take it serious. When you got, helmets flying, things like that, guys suplexing people, you got to get that under control. You can't have WWE out here where you got these props flying around the air. I just don't. In my opinion, there's no place in this game for that. And then, you're gonna get penalized for that. If you do that in a game, that's a penalty, potential ejection. Discipline has got to be enforced here. And for me, it's I get, Schottenheimer's not impressed with that, that specific sloppy practice. He felt like it was sloppy practice. Which it probably was if you're fighting, but especially that many times. It was 6 brawls, 6. And I guess some people are like, joint practices shouldn't happen, and they shouldn't happen. If you're playing them in a preseason game or something, I get it's extra reps for the starters, and so they don't have to play in preseason games. But in my opinion, joint practices, honestly, probably shouldn't be happening because the tensions are going to be high. It's training camp. You've got guys fighting for roster spots. If you're going to have a joint practice, just schedule them for a preseason game. Just wait till the preseason. Training camp is not the time to be playing other teams. It's the time to be fine-tuning what you're trying to do for the season, not playing against these other teams and not having productive practices. I'm not saying that's not useful to have joint practices, because it absolutely is. You're getting to see another team in live action, live practice. But that's what the preseason games are for. Those are for live action. And in my opinion, like, some of these starters don't play at all, but I mean, I think at least some of these starters should play at least one drive. Like, I know Dak Prescott never plays in the preseason, but I'd like to see him play for at least, like, even just one throw. Have him out there for 1 or 2 pass attempts just to get his feet wet. Because it's harder to jump into the season if you're not easing into it in the preseason. But some players have different takes on that. You know, Joe Burrow, he played in the preseason getting sacked. You know, I don't know if you want to see that. But, again, I would not be opposed to starters playing in the preseason a little bit more, because I think it just gets them in the rhythm, gets their body warmed up for the regular season. So when they get in the regular season game, it's not a shock when they get hit. They're used to it a little bit by now. I'm sure they are with practice, but you know, practice can be a little bit lighter contact at times because you're not trying to hurt people. But again, I mean, I think, you know, those people, you know, getting, you know, I mean, there were multiple brawls, like, Kalen Carlson, you know, punched, you know, a Saints player, you know, body slammed. That's what I'm talking about, you know, throwing a helmet, you know, exchanging punches, you know, things like that. You know, they did consider stopping the practice, but they actually finished the practice. We made a video about that. But NFL had warned teams that fighting could lead to player club fines or loss of practice. NFL message, I mean, the competition committee, you know, sportsmanship at joint practices is a league priority. Teams were warned before camp about preventing unsportsmanlike behavior that could cause injuries. Other brawl, you know, the Giants and Dolphins, they had one. They didn't get fined for this one, but you still had, you know, a couple altercations, you know, get escalated into full brawls, you know, punches being thrown, things like that. You had a couple guys removed from practice and portions of practice. John Harbaugh, the head coach of the Giants, said it's just football. You know, again, that's one of those things that is just football, but you know, sometimes, you know, $500K fine. I mean, that's quite a bit. Like I just said, you know, that's what they got. That's what the Saints got fined for Bountygate. But Jerry Jones, he talked about, you know, the joint practice ball that happened at that practice, and basically gave his opinion on the whole matter.
When we have these joint practices, everybody's aware of the competition, both individually as well as through the team. We understand that you don't have the discipline of penalties that are real difference makers out here, and frankly, you probably don't have the officiating consequences. So this game is physical, and it's easy to get involved with aggressive temperaments. All of that makes it a real focal point of the league to stay within good sport. And taking of helmets off and swinging and hitting and that type of thing is not good for anybody, and it's certainly not what we want to represent to our fans and as a league or as a team. And so it's understandable how they're coming down with a real severe fines.
Yeah, and Jerry said he's going to appeal it. I mean, I think, you know, fining the teams is fair, but finding the players, like, I think he kind of talked about that. You know, he's going to deal with that and things like that. But I think the NFL should find the players that at least were the ones who instigated it or made the biggest headway in terms of, like, throwing helmets, things like that. Because we've seen that in the past when, you know, Myles Garrett, you know, he took a helmet, you know, basically hit Mason Rudolph in the head with it. We've seen what happens there. You know, no, I'm surprised no suspensions. You know, it's probably training camp, so they're probably just trying to give him a little bit of a lighter punishment in terms of that. But $500K didn't seem like a light punishment to me. And then let's go ahead and move on to the last and final segment. This is a fun segment, man. So we got some IndyCar for this show to kind of close this out. I mean, they raced in Washington, D.C., the Freedom 250. Kyle Kirkwood, he wins the inaugural Freedom 250 on the streets of Washington, D.C., his second IndyCar win of 2026. He led for 128 out of 147 laps. Trump gave the green flag to D.C. Mayor and was the Grand Marshal. And then, you know, you got the pit lane, you know, festivities going on before the race. You know, you saw the Capitol, you know, down the straightaway when you were watching the race in the background. It was a dang cool event. I will say this. Like, I think it was a pretty cool event. I mean, it's the first ever IndyCar race on DC streets. 1.7 miles, 7 turns, 147 laps. They ran past the Capitol, National Mall, National Archives, and Smithsonian. This was not originally scheduled for 2026, but Roger Penske, and his team, they gave Trump a call. They made it happen. I didn't hear about the event at all, actually. Before it even happened, I didn't hear about it. So I didn't really know what was going on, to be honest with you. But again, I think the race would have been better if Kirkwood wasn't just winning the whole time. And that's what he was saying in the press conference after the race. So let's go ahead and hear from him real quick, and then we'll kind of give you my final thoughts about this real quick before we end the show.
There's two ways to look at it, right? I'm going to be super biased in two opinions. Either, no, I never want to come back here because I'll be the only winner of this thing, or biased in that direction too. Yes, let's come back here because I want to win it again. So it just depends how you look at it. I think we were extremely fast. So I hope it, quite honestly, I think for our sport and IndyCar, I hope that part of the race wasn't boring with me leading a lot of it, if I'm being completely honest. But the racing product when I was around other cars was, you could actually race cars pretty well. I didn't see the broadcast. I don't know exactly what it looked like. I don't know if it was great or not throughout the midfield and the rest of the pack. But from the front, we just had a dominant car. So it probably didn't look that shiny for the lead, did it? So.
Yeah, he was like, the product would be a little bit better, if I wasn't winning the whole time. But, you're going to take it right. He did mention, hey, would I want to be the only winner of this, or I would want to come back and defend my title? This is a one-and-done event. From what I've been hearing, this is a one-and-done event, never going to happen again. I think it's one of the coolest events I've ever seen. I think it's one of the coolest races I've ever seen. I was sitting there saying, hey, I think it was a little bit visually, I think it was a little bit more pleasing than UFC White House. I know, you can't, MMA is definitely more entertaining than IndyCar, but still, getting to see, all of Washington, D.C., we're running through Pennsylvania Avenue. That's pretty unique. That's really, really cool. And I'm glad, IndyCar is getting the shine that they deserve, but I didn't hear about this. Where's the promotions about this? I didn't hear about it until Friday, for crying out loud. I was literally sitting in the living room, got back, having from breakfast and things like that, and out and about at the farmers market, you know how those days are. And I get back and I'm like, hey, what's going on today? And then just turn it on and I see, hey, there's a IndyCar race in DC. I'm like, wow. So I was watching them do the news, which, by the way, if you're doing the news during zoom, 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 all those noises passing by, shout out to you, because that's pretty difficult in my opinion. I don't know how those people can hear themselves over there. But I really did like the event as a whole. I thought the event as a whole really did capture, celebrating America. It did. Not saying that UFC event didn't, but this was, racing. This is one of the oldest traditions. You got the Indy 500, that's been around for forever, okay? It's been around 100 plus years. You've got this race that's new. You've got Indy cars, going so fast. The only thing I don't like is that Indy cars aren't the greatest at road courses. They're just not that good at them. But those turns were super tight, super narrow. You had guys slipping. We had a couple of passes where it's oh, you're trying to go for first, type thing. There's a lot. I thought it was a cool event. I did like the visuals of it and the camera work and, how they presented it on TV. I think it was very unique, very fun in that way. I would like to see the event again, but again, when it comes to once in a lifetime events, those are the whole point of them. They only happen one time. One time. Well, man, make sure to subscribe, you guys. Hit the notification bell. Comment down below your thoughts on the video and things like that. What do you want to see next and things like that. Next week, we will be previewing the NFL season, giving you all of our predictions. We'll have Mike Zanetti and a couple other people back on. Gabriel Vasquez will be on, and Ethan Krinky will also be back for the pod. 3 guys you've seen already, but it's just going to be all 4 of us coming together for some hot takes on the NFL season next week. That podcast probably be dropping somewhere in the middle of next week. I'll let you guys know kind of when that drops. Make sure to follow us on socials. Check us out. Hashtag The Take with JB if you want to repost and things like that. Make sure to listen on Spotify to this edition of the podcast. But I'm Jackson Burlison, of course. You guys have a great rest of your day, and I appreciate you guys stopping in to listen to what I got to say. Have a great week. Peace.
Talk to me, baby. Talk to me nice. I'm from another world, baby, yeah. Broadway paradise. They think I'm way too cold, cause I put my